And I was getting to a breaking point in my family where I had to make some decisions. So we actually come from this, we're cut from the same cloth. We understand I hate the word, but we understand the grind. We understand the never ending work and the weight on the shoulders. So for us, there's we feel so good by giving people time. What gift is better than giving back time?
Good afternoon, guys. This is Eric and Scott from In the Trenches, and we are continuing our series. This time, we're exploring something a little bit new. Oftentimes, we are having conversations with gym owners, coaches that lead either in-person services or certifications. Maybe we're talking to folks outside of the affiliate landscape and they own their own micro gym. And recently, we've been exploring into different brands. And today, we are actually going in the direction of a service provider, normally by someone who I know, someone who I like, and absolutely someone who I trust. Personally, this is someone who I use their service with. And what I mean by that is Scott has, through his excellence in working with gym owners, both by and for, has recognized a huge service gap in our industry that he's been able to fill. And so without further ado, Scott, the owner of VAs for Gyms, welcome to In the Trenches.
Thank you very much, Eric. It's an honor to be on here with you again. It's awesome.
Right on. This is round two. I think you and maybe one or two other folks have rounded back to In the Trenches twice. And this time we have a new story to tell. Yep. We have some definite solutions to share, both for gym owners and for coaches. But let's back up. So we connected, obviously, for those that may not have seen the first episode, we've connected through Level Method. Obviously, we connected through the CrossFit landscape. We belong to, or are part of brotherhood, of fatherhood. And most recently, within this last 6 months or so, you've taken a very personal step and a professional step in the direction of creating a solution for gym owners that helps them buy back time, both for themselves and predominantly allows them to leverage skills. Talk to me about where you first recognized the need and then maybe how you put together this idea.
So you'd said it, I'd been working with gyms for, I think, 3 years, also a gym owner. And one of the things that I had always done as an entrepreneur, a small business owner, and then also working for other people is I took every single thing that came across my desk and I just charged. And I was, as I'm always a go, 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 go. And I started to realize when we started the brotherhood, actually about 1.5 years ago, I started to realize that I couldn't get all of the stuff done that I wanted to do. And then a lot of the things that I was doing were getting done, but maybe not to the standard that I would have normally liked to be.
Right.
And that created this gap. Like, I have big aspirations. I have all these responsibilities and I have these big visions for things, and I cannot do it all. And as I began to realize this for myself, I was currently running a mastermind for gym owners and a podcast for gyms. And that conversation would come up all the time. Like, I just don't know who should do this. My staff isn't good at this, and I keep having to find someone new. And a little light turned on. So first step was I got a virtual assistant for myself, and probably with hundreds of hours of work, training, I learned a ton about how to get a good virtual assistant, how to train a virtual assistant, how to keep them, and all of the tips of the trade. And I implemented that. And I would say there was probably hundreds of hours I put in, because I knew that putting in the upfront work was going to buy me thousands of hours for my life.
On the back end. Yep,
oh,
for
absolutely.
Sure.
And it was extremely successful. But what I found talking to gym owner after gym owner after gym owner is that they'd tried it, or they'd heard horror stories of it. They'd either experienced,
so they stayed away from it.
Yeah, they tried it once. They're like, it was a massive waste of time. I taught them how to do stuff and they disappeared, or they were really bad at it, or they did stuff, but I never knew when it was going to come. And I'm thinking in my head, wow, I've solved this problem. I don't have this problem. It's going super well. I literally offloaded over 40 hours of work from myself per week onto one virtual assistant.
Man, and that's huge. I mean, if you look at the task listings that any gym owner has to go through, if you bucket those, or if you chunk them down into like most important to least important, I'm sure you arrived at a list of, you're like, look, these are tasks that are generally replicatable. They're not necessarily easy, but I don't need to be spending my time on them.
Right.
I need to offload them, but they also need to be able to connect back to you often enough to make sure that, hey, is this right? Is it correct? So you go from having your own personal list taken care of. How fast did you think, oh man, this is going to help a lot of people?
Very fast.
Yeah.
Very fast, but it wasn't in the sake of me helping them. I started preaching that everybody needed two things. One, a common acquaintance of you and I is Nathan Holliday, and he taught me a ton about personal systems and productivity. And so over a 2-3 year span, I just kept creating this personal operating system, just kept dialing in and dialing and dialing in. But when you do that, you realize that if you're going to do things well, you've got to have systems in place. And that was the break in my entire thing. Right. And so I realized, so then I started preaching to everybody, like, you got to get a personal operating system. You have to put something in place so that you are as efficient as you can be and productive as you can be, but also maintain your own personal life and energy so that you can give when you need to give to the right places.
For the other side. Yep.
I started preaching that, like screaming it from the mountaintops. But then when I implemented the virtual assistant, it like 10x my productivity. Obviously, I mean, I gained 40 hours in a week, not just of things I was doing, but things that I wanted to do. And so I started just telling everybody they need to do that. But then I got all of those people saying it doesn't work, or I don't have time to do that. And I thought, yeah, I spent a lot of time doing it. I really did. A lot of research. You can't just say, I'm going to hire a VA and go out and do it, because it's just probably not going to work. And so a good friend of mine who was in the mastermind I was running was like, Scott, you keep talking about these things. Can I just use yours? And I'm like, no. And he asked over and over again. No, I'm like, no. I would ask my business partner, Josh, and he's like, no, protect her. She's incredible. And without Josh's okay, I eventually said, hey, look, we're not going to talk about this. I'm going to charge you, but you can go ahead and we'll do some stuff for you. And he was blown away, and I was blown away because my stuff was still getting done, and now his stuff was getting done. And then a light bulb turned on, and I called Josh, who I created the Brotherhood of Fatherhood with. I said, I think we're onto something. And I told him, I said, I did what you told me not to do, but this was the outcome. And he was like, oh my gosh, he's like, this is such a huge solution to a big problem. And from that moment on, we're just like, okay, let's put this into a system. I got like head deep into the operations, how it could work, how it could scale. And we just put this thing together, and the need was obvious because the response was big and fast.
Huge. Yeah. I mean, so just even talking about the multiple circles that we all live in or work in right now, we come across gym owners all the time, whether it is through needs in operations, needs in systems, needs in staff development, onboarding, programming, you name it. Gym owners are always seeking help, and they're always seeking, let me say, order organization. And so, I mean, I remember a project you and I were working on where you were like, I need to detail out all of the offerings that these VAs can help with. And it was like, man, this is a living, breathing document. At first it started with 1 page. Now it's 2 pages, 5 pages. You're probably up to 10 pages by now, but I don't know how many gym owners recognize that they could be spending so much time doing the more valuable, more fulfilling tasks if they wrote down what they did and they looked at it and was like, man, 2/3 of this I can hand to somebody else and be off their plate. How refreshing did that feel when you first started helping these gym owners?
It was incredible, because if a gym owner, if I said, hey, just tell me how many things that you think you could pass on, they're going to come up with a list of 1 or 2. Like literally, you just can't think outside of that. So what I realized is that there isn't a self-awareness of how much actually we are doing that can be passed on. And so what happened was I had gone through this process myself with the Brotherhood of Fatherhood podcast and managing that group on Facebook and on social media and managing email lists and all these things, I slowly learned like, hey, I don't need to do this. So I started to have this gauge in my head, and I am getting to your answer, by the way. I started to have this gauge in my head is like the question I'd ask myself, and sometimes it would happen before I started the task. Sometimes it would happen an hour after I was deep into it, is like, is this something, one, that gives me energy and is building value for future? And two, does it require that I'm the only person that can do it? And like very often the answer was no. Right. And so if I were to run up with a problem, a very common example I have is I couldn't figure out how to connect to social media platforms. It was an easy process, but I needed to do the research. And I started doing the research. I was so frustrated. This is such a waste of my time. And then I'm like, whoa, I shot a quick Loom video, sent it to my VA, said, hey, by the morning, I'd love to have a report on how, or a step-by-step how to do that. I wake up. She's like, she's like, I figured it all out and I just did it for you. I hope you're okay with that. I'm like,
hired. Let's go. Yep.
So the thing that happens with our clients is they come on, they think I need help with lead nurture, or I just need help with reports. It's really not that much work. So that's where we start. But as soon as that is nailed down, we say, okay, hey, look, have you thought of your Google page optimization? Well, do you do that? Well, yeah, I get in there once or twice a year. Okay. Do you know how much, like, #1 search engine in the world? If people are going to come to your gym, the very first thing they're going to do is CrossFit gyms, on rodeo, whatever it is. And if you haven't been optimizing, someone else is going to be popped up. So we like, okay, hey, we're going to go in twice a week. We're going to do this, this, and this. And it just happens now. It's off your list. It's done. Your Google page is going to be optimized to its maximum potential. We keep playing with things one step at a time and keep adding and layering. And it's incredible. But then people will come up and they'll be like, hey, can you do this? I get this question every day. Can you do this? So I'm like, does it require your face, your mouth, or your hands? And they're like, no. I'm like, then yes.
And we can do it. Yeah.
So the list is extremely long. But one of the other things I learned, and I don't know what happened, what order this happened in, but I was watching something on social media or YouTube about, I can't remember there's a famous person that was talking about this. So it's taking one piece of content and doing like what you and I are doing now and creating a myriad of resources from it. And I was like, wait a minute. So I started doing that with the Brotherhood, do one podcast episode and get 2 weeks worth of social media content, enriching, engaging, valuable content every day for a couple of weeks from a 30-45 minute work session. And so we also implement that with a lot of gyms because they just don't know how to get the message across. Yesterday on my Facebook feed was, and no knock to this at all, actually, I really see the need for it. White Label Fitness it's a brand or something, and they sell you white labeled posting,
content,
nutrition, videos, and everything. Awesome. Who's spending the time not white labeling that? Who's spending the time branding all of that? Who's spending the time putting your own personal spin on it? So even if you buy it, it's taking you a ton of time. So and it's white label, it's generic, which is okay, but there's other people are doing the exact same thing.
Correct. So you just get to see exactly. And even if you purchase that service, I've seen the same service is $29 for this, $49 for that. And you're like, oh, I'm going to get an annual package. And then then all of a sudden you get the stuff and you're like, but wait, I got to do my logos. I got to put like you said, my spin on it. So it's still work. It's cheap work versus finished product.
Yep.
I totally get that.
Yeah. So there's two solutions to that. Either you circumvent that and you use our media system to create it all, or you can buy that and our team goes in and rebrands it enough, colors, fonts, logos, change the messaging, mix it up a little bit so that no one would recognize it. And that's something we do as well. So everything you buy, it has to make your life easier, has a tendency to add tasks to your day. Right. And so by buying things to make your life easier, a lot of times you're adding just a teeny bit more work. and you just,
Correct.
and a lot of people just don't know what it's done. Yeah.
No, 100%. I would agree. In my own personal journey that I've had, both working with you and working with the VAs, I picture myself always as that gym owner sitting in the middle. And I say to myself, there's work I need to do that touches externally, and then there's work I need to do that's internal to my business. And so, just for clarity for the audience, the external stuff is primarily all your social channels or your social outreach. And so for many gym owners, that's Facebook, that's Instagram, it might be YouTube, it could be LinkedIn, right? It could be Google, like all those things. But then there's also internal tasks. Can you give maybe a top 5 or top 3 of your list of what are those internal tasks that some of the VAs are helping with, for maybe onboarding, bookkeeping, reporting, help the gym owners understand some of the tasks we can do inside, and then we'll turn around to some of the more exciting external front-facing features.
I was like, we got it. There's a few we haven't covered, but yeah, that the sky is the limit here. Like, there are a myriad of reports that they're good at pulling. Like, we'll do payroll, we'll do coach hour reports. Like, this is how much you need to pay the person. I mean, we'll do it down to the nitty gritty. We're doing bookkeeping now, general bookkeeping. Everybody hates bookkeeping, but it's just
Right.
the process you need to do. And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know if I want people seeing my financials. I have done so much research on Filipino culture that, like, it's it's a mortal sin to steal information in the Philippines. I mean, it's like you are ousted, and they are very socially connected. Like, it's the most safe people you could be using, and
Right.
they won't get work ever again if they're fired from a job. So it's a serious deal. But you just pass these little things off that you don't think about. Bookkeeping, like I said, bookkeeping. Like, we have reports being, okay, here's how much I'm spending on ads. Here's how much it's costing per lead that comes in. Here's how much it's costing per sale that we're making. We're doing all the number crunching, and we're switching. We're taking information from PushPress. We're taking information from maybe the Grow product that you guys have out. We're taking all of these analytics, and then maybe another place, and we can put them all in and spit out a report that gives you total insight into what's going on in your business to make better decisions. So,
and that aligns.
Reporting.
That's a huge alignment with people that love to be a data-driven operation, rather than making reactive emotional responses of like, I think this is working, or gosh, I don't think this is working, so I got to switch. Versus, hey, objectively, here's where we're winning and here's where we're losing. That's massive to be able to produce that for the owner.
And even for the people who aren't data-driven, it's almost, they need to be. And it's not something that gives them energy. It's not something they're good at. But if a report just drops on their desk every month, they got to spend 1 minute looking at it, and the patterns are going to start to emerge. So even for those people who have never done it before, it's a game changer when you have it. We all know you've got to know what's going on in your business. You can't be reactive. You've got to look and start projecting and look at patterns, because otherwise you're just wasting money. You're wasting time. And so it gives you the edge that you may not naturally have. But a lot of people say, well, my GM does that, or my coaches, I have a coach that pulls reports every week. The answer that we have on all of these little tasks, these internal things, is, are they good at it? Do they like doing it? Are they consistent? Usually the answer is no, because they probably came in the first place to coach. And then the next question is it really using their value? And what I mean by that is, if you have a coach who's spending 2 hours a week pulling reports, I mean, it's not a big deal. But what if you paid them the same amount to actually
make calls or connect?
Yeah, I was going to say, hang out at before another coach's class, and just be the person that's taking care of people. Like, the return on that for retention is enormous. Enormous. Or doing goal setting sessions or check-ins. Like, they're connecting. They probably like coaching some people because they like to connect. Well, this is just another way to connect.
Correct.
And so there's so much more value. And it's not like, oh, you're taking away their work. It's like, no, keep paying them to do stuff, but stuff that's actually going to pad your business account even
longer.
more. Yep.
Yeah, agreed. 100%. Now let's switch it. Then let's go the opposite direction. So social media, we recognize that all brands need a front-facing image and a message, whether they're calling to action, whether they're showcasing their culture and community, whether they are educating. What have gym owners come to you and said? Have they said, I'm a mess, I don't know what to post, I don't have time to do photography or edit or videos, like, or I'm interested, I just don't know where to start?
Yeah.
How have you helped out there?
We walk you through every step of the way. So there's a lot of, we have built out a lot of resources from, I mean, we really, and you know, a lot of people want to be in the podcast game, and I really, really get it. And some people don't want to be in the podcast game at all, and I really get it. But here's the truth. You have to differentiate yourself. You have to be the more professional voice, because there is competition. There's enough pie out there for everyone, but make your slice bigger and engage. Podcasting is not going away, and it's huge. Here's the other thing I want to say about that. If you've been interested in doing a podcast, or if you are doing a podcast, you realize on the other end that the post-production is usually huge, very time consuming. Yep. And then you produce this podcast, and then what? You put up a post, hey, my podcast is out. How is that helping you? It might a little bit, but it's not really. So what we've done is we'll teach people from any budget. We'll help you get set up for your podcast. We say record 30 minutes every 2 weeks. This is your starting point. If you can sit down, or a coach, if it's not your deal, with a client for 30 minutes every other week, have a conversation about their experience in the gym. There's questions that we actually give them to go from. And if you can have that conversation and record it, what we do with that is we make it into a podcast, the entire post-production. We make it into a video podcast and put it on YouTube. Then we create video clips that are specific for Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. They're transcribed. They have the timeline bar. They're, you know, the most exciting thing that's out there. And then we create content based on the expertise and the things that people are saying and the things that your coaches are saying. So now you've done 30, okay, let's say on the high end, 50 minutes of work and then you have content every single day that is pointed at your expertise and the value that you bring to the market going out to your social media. It's authentic.
Yep.
It's real. The message is
branded. Yep.
Right on. It's branded and it's off your list. People get into podcasting because it's a cool thing to do. They stop because it's so time consuming. Well, we can take it to the next level where it's a machine for your social media. And, you know, we do it for almost every client. And it's been incredible. It's been an incredible producer. But the thing is you don't need to do anything to get started. I think we have 2 or 3 clients who already had a podcast going when we started. Everyone else we've grown,
started fresh.
Yep. And if you want to start a podcast, the other thing is when I started podcast, hundreds of hours researching which microphone should I get? What do I do? I was listening to podcasts, I was doing all these things to try and learn. Well, we put it together. So it's like, do this, and go. And then we take care of it. So what it does is just builds a very strong social media presence. And we've gotten reports of just massive engagement. And I was talking to a gal 2 weeks ago that is probably like 7 weeks in. And she's like, almost every new person coming in points back to our Facebook posts. Like I saw that interview where you were, and that is powerful.
Agreed, 100%. So to shortcut that, so you're telling me if I just have my phone and I invite someone to have a discussion, maybe I can't do it. Maybe I don't want to go face to face in the gym. Maybe I've got some COVID restrictions or some issues around having someone that close to film. Can I get on Zoom and interview a client, ask them some questions or tell them how we've helped or do whatever, and your whole team will be able to take care of editing, chopping up, distributing, branding, all of it, and go right to my Facebook
Yep.
once or twice a week with a couple drops.
Handling the social media management as well. We have social media manager and a social media team that goes in, looks at your analytics. Hey, this is the best time to post. They do all the research. I woke up the other morning and my social media manager said, of all these clients, I went in and did this, and this, and this. And she did all this research and went into every account and did all these boosting things. Like they didn't have a call to action button on their page, or they didn't have these things. And she went in and just did it all. She's optimizing pages. So it's the team just takes care of from A to Z on that. Well, B to Z, you're doing the recording. The other thing that I want to say about podcasts is how easy is it to get people to sit down for 30 minutes with you if you say you're going to be a guest on the podcast? Because podcasts are hot, they will make the time to get there. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Once they are on that podcast and we make all of this content, they're going to be super proud because they're being shown in this content. Now, people aren't in general very good at sharing the message about your gym. They're just not good. They may love it and they may tell a few people about it, but they don't know how to tell them. And they don't tend to just go out of their way because then they sound like a kook, right? They're drinking the Kool-Aid or whatever the thing may be. Well, if you get them on a podcast, they've been on a podcast, they're going to share the crap out of that. And then
100%.
And you're reaching, hopefully it's your avatar. Then they're reaching into this circle by sharing what you have posted, or even if you tag them, you're reaching into their circle that may not have no clue what they're doing and why they're doing it. And the message is now clear because we're picking out the pieces that make sense. Like, I now can do X because I go to CrossFit X. And so it just broadens that natural lead gen.
Since you brought that discussion or that discussion point about this has primarily been used by strength and conditioning facilities, gyms, and CrossFit affiliates, can this service still work in the MMA facilities, the yoga studios, the rock climbing gyms? I mean, any service-oriented gym, right? Same type of thing, right?
It goes actually almost every small business and medium-sized business we're serving. So we have physical therapists that are, I don't know how many, we have quite a few physical therapists, yoga facilities, all of those. It's almost identical operations. Here's the thing is I've hired a team that's they're not just drones. They will look at the situation, acquire the information they need to acquire. They'll adapt and then they'll execute. And they are very professionals. In fact, we call it VAs for gyms, which is really hard for me in hindsight because they really are virtual professionals. They are very professional. They have degrees. I have several physical therapists on staff. I think 3 now. It's just better pay to work for Americans than it is to be a professional in the Philippines. So I have incredible talent. And so that doesn't span just into a functional fitness gym. And we're proving that over and over again. In fact, we have people that just podcasters, they're just podcasters, and we take care of all their things. And we, personal training, as well as coaching. Coaching's huge right now. So we service quite a few coaches, life coach, fitness coach, nutrition coach, because there's all sorts of tasks that need to be done in that realm.
Yeah, that's actually the direction that I wanted to take my next question. And really we saw through COVID a significant amount of gym owners who loved to help people. They loved to transform lives. They, you name it, they were in the game. But for whatever reason, they shut down, right? Their brick and mortar shut down. And some were successful enough to be able to pivot into the online space. And so can VAs for gyms work for the coach who's in the non-brick and mortar gym space, the digital marketer, the consultant, the coach, like you said, the life coach? They still have very similar tasks. They may not have staff and overhead and equipment and group classes, but they're still servicing a need. So you do have a chance to work with them, correct?
Absolutely. Just working with the client today, we do post-production on our videos. They're not podcasts, they're just videos. So cleaning them up, she's showing, exercise videos, making them really super professional, doing content on social media, posting. It's like, hey, I need all this content I want out there. Here's the synopsis of it. Just build stuff for me, building it on brand, messaging anybody who likes a post, message them, hey, like my page and here's my group. You know, that shuffle, like that's nauseating to do. Like there's no reason that you should be doing it. It's a rinse and repeat thing. And it works super well. So there's so many roles. Again, it's probably just as robust of opportunity. Another thing that I was thinking about is old content. I thought of this because the same client that's a coach has all this old content, shot a bunch of videos, shot a bunch of interviews, but just the bandwidth to do anything with them. So just send them all to us. And we're creating video clips. We're redoing them. We're rewrapping them. We're posting them out. And it's like, now we have like a month of social media from stuff that was
done. Yeah.
Out. Like it was like kind of lost effort. And so typically if you've done something, you've used something, you can repurpose it and it's going to be super powerful. So there's just so many things that can be done for any professional, really, any small business owner, whether it's one team of 1 or 10, doesn't matter.
One of the questions that I like to kind of dig in on, particularly for folks that are providing solutions through service, is where do you want to take VAs for gyms? Have you sat down with your partner and have you had a creative enough break yet? Or should I say, have you had a big enough break to be creative, thinking about, whoa, where are we going with this?
So our first and foremost is making sure that we can scale to whatever growth comes. And here's the one thing that we know, you guys have heard it a million times. If you want to be successful, solve a problem. Well, we both come from years of being in the physical fitness, the functional fitness world. We're both gym owners and have been in the circles. And number one, that's our passion to help business owners. VSBs, very small business. This is a VSB. And the struggle is real. We've both been through the coming home at night to a family that's not thrilled that you're not around. We both, I mean, you know, Josh, even his wife was leaving him because he was always working. And I was getting to a breaking point in my family where I had to make some decisions. So we actually come from this, we're cut from the same cloth. We understand I hate the word, but we understand the grind. We understand the never ending work and the weight on the shoulders. So for us, there's massive, we feel so good by giving people time. What gift is better than giving back time? How you use that time is on you, but we can give back time. That is the ROI for VAs for gyms. So because of that, we are extremely motivated. Our vision is to help as many gym owners as possible. And because one, that's the market we know, we can relate, we understand. So we will continue to grow with gyms as long as we can. And then we obviously know that we can pivot into other markets. We haven't changed our name. We don't plan on changing our name, but this is not a short-term play. I mean, even when I'm hiring people, my VAs, I know that if I tell them like, this is your career, this isn't a gig, this isn't a contract, this is your career. And that brings the right people in, because I know that this can go on and on and on because it's solving problems, and it's solving problems every single time.
Yeah, no, I believe it 100%. I think that's, I can't imagine, unless, I mean, it's funny, we were talking the other day about symptoms versus problems. I can't imagine any gym owner that would sit in front of you that has everything dialed in 100% and is like, thanks, no thanks, I got it all. I would want to see those operations. I'd want to see how proficient they are. I want to see how efficient they are. But for easily 95 to 99% of the gym owners, you can solve problems faster, more efficiently. And that time piece for the gym owner particularly, or even the general manager who might be tasked to be the liaison to you or to the VAs, talk about ease, right? The ease is like, here's the marching orders, here's what I need, here's when it's due, thanks, right? And it's like, I'll see you in 48 hours, it's done.
Yeah. And the beauty of it is maybe this is something nobody wants to know, but The only VA that I've ever had quit was because she felt she wasn't doing a good enough job. That is the problem with this line of having this collection of workers, this team, this very professional team, is that they are so they will go over
Pride, yeah,
so well because they want to give you the best product possible. That's the beauty in the process. We create something, we get feedback directly from the consumer, and you've done this very well. Hey, look, it's a little off. I need this fix. And you can be very frank and very open. And it's not like you're hurting their pride. You're just giving them an opportunity to meet your expectations.
yep.
And so a lot of times I actually can't think of a client that hasn't said the work is better than anything we were doing or that I was doing myself. It's actually better because, hey, here's your expectations, but they have another spin on it, and they'll come to the table and say, what do you think of this? Not loving it. What do you think of this? Oh my God, I never even thought of that. That's incredible.
Yep.
That happens to me all the time with Brotherhood. It happens to our clients all the time. And so it's just almost every time I talk to someone, I'm like, how's the quality? The answer is better than any of us were doing it.
100%. I would agree. I would absolutely agree with that. And what was so refreshing for me was that when we first established a timeline, you're like, between 72 to 96 hours is where we're kind of thinking. Your VAs are turning stuff around in less than a day if we push the hot button. But for most of the time, it's, I can get it tomorrow. I can get it tomorrow. Like, that is fantastic. And if we got to change things like color or font or reposition, or, hey, I think that picture's a little grainy. Can we get a better resolution for that? Done.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They just want to please.
So if for those individuals that are gym owners, maybe general managers that have been listening in today, if they want to find you, or they want to ask questions, or they want to see representations of work you've done, how do they find you?
So our very, very fresh website is vasforgyms.com. And it's
okay.
I believe you have to do the www right now. I have a VA working on making that connection, so you don't, but it's
awesome.
vasforgyms.com. We actually have a Facebook group. If you can get on Facebook, if you can handle it, it's VAs for Gyms. It's an open group. Just apply to get in, and you'll see all the snips that we make for VAs. Unfortunately, we put our clients first. So our product is great, but our client's product is awesome. We actually have a portfolio page on the website as well. We have a quiz on there to assess if you even need it. Now, the truth is you brought something up. There's a gym that really does have two incredible managers, and the owner and the two managers have been getting on the phone with me in the first few calls. Like, these are our jobs. We're really good at it. Call 3 and 4. They're like, oh, I don't like doing this. And I'm like, and the conversation is, this is not going to take your job from you. It's just going to give you more time to do the things that you actually enjoy doing. And, so I just want to encourage people not to let that be a block, because it shouldn't be, because we should be focusing on bigger things. So we have the website, we have the VAs for Gyms on Facebook, we have VAs for Gyms on Instagram, and there's a book a call. This is super simple. When you book that call, it's a 10-minute zero pressure call. All it is, it's typically with me, is, hey, what are your needs? Tell me about your business, and we'll see if you're a good fit. And then we'll step you into a strategy call and really get into the weeds and find out and strategize how we can help you and what that would look like.
Outstanding. I dig that. I dig that entry point. I dig the assessment. I think that's critical. It's valuable for folks, and I'm going to challenge the gym owners or the general managers that get on the phone with you to be vulnerable, to be open, because we're really going to be discussing, holes in your process, things that are taking up too much time. I mean, really, your team has been fantastic about saying, look, we recognize you've got strengths, but we want to take some of the things that you're not so good at or don't like, so that we can go ahead and improve the brand. Man, Scott and the team at VAs for Gyms have totally helped us in our role at the marketing side on Push Press. And so I want to say, on behalf of myself and our team, thank you for what you've done. Any lasting or any motivational statements or challenges that you've got for gym owners?
Yeah, like, get your systems figured out. I think a lot of people do. And the question, I was at a conference, actually went to a live conference, gym conference. I was at one recently, And I heard this from a gym owner of mine, Kenny Marquardt, and he's like, I am the mayor of my gym. I shake hands and kiss babies. And if I want to coach, I can coach, but I'm not doing any of the other stuff because I'm just doing the things I love. I would challenge every gym owner to think of, are you the mayor of your gym? If that's what you want to be, are you the mayor of your gym? And like, if you don't want to be, are you doing the things that only you absolutely love doing? Because really, Josh and I, our main goal is to solve problems for gym owners. It's not to grow a massive business. It's not to, we actually really, one of our goals is to provide a lot of really great jobs for people. We're changing lives in the Philippines, and we actually have people in South America too. But the other end of it is we've been gym owners. We understand that never ending. The day starts at 4 a.m. and ends at 8 or 9. And so if we can help give back time, we know that that's a gift that many, many small business owners need.
Agreed, 100%. Well, I've definitely enjoyed our relationship together. I've definitely enjoyed the professional relationship that you've taught, because the learning curve has been great. So I value that relationship as well. Thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Awesome.